I don't like
Can we
it.
talk about Kobe or?
Oh, we could totally talk about Kobe. He doesn't rap, so I don't know
That's
if
a
we
good
want
thing.
to.
I think he played in Game 7.
Kobe?
Yeah,
Kobe
I
Bryant?
I saw him. He did. He was all right.
He was all right.
He got like 15 rebounds or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He was
Well, he
all
also
right.
shot, 6 of 21?
Yeah, not his best shooting performance. Not his best shooting performance.
Now,
But the bonus about Kobe
Who cares?
is right. A lot of people. Who cares? He'd do a lot of other things for your team. If he's
What was he from the free throw line?
What
What was he from the free throw line? I know he definitely maybe missed one. He was.
I mean,
They put him on the line in the last 4 minutes. They kept fouling him.
I got news for you. That's not a bad thing. To put Kobe Bryant on his line, that's his weakness. He's not
But-
the greatest free throw shooter.
Right, but again, that makes it even better that he was so
But-
clutch on the line.
But here's the thing.
He was
and
pretty clutch.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I said this last year, and I'm going to say this again. The Lakers are not winning the championship without Pau Gasol. And Pau Gasol needs to be brought up right here because the value that he had to his team, the amount of rebounds he had in the finals, the double-doubles, the defense, the way he shut down Garnett. Essentially, Kobe is going to get the MVP because he's Kobe Bryant, but the real MVP of that series was Pau Gasol because,
Well,
again,
Mike
they
Breen,
weren't winning
Mike
without him.
Breen said in Game 5 that in 2008, Garnett was the best big man on the court. I said this
Yes,
last week.
Yes.
That this year, and prior to the Game 7, them winning, in Game 5, he said clearly Gasol is that guy now. Garnett is too. And I think obviously it showed. That's why Garnett got shut down. Garnett's not the same guy.
He's
His
old.
mentality
He's
is-
older. He's an older player now. He's a true veteran now in the NBA. He's not someone learning from the game.
Right.
He's teaching other players. His legacy is almost over. He had his impact in the league. He had his big years in Minnesota. He did all that. He was on a losing team. He won his ring. You know, he's old now. Now, like they said, this is really becoming Rondo's team more than the big three.
I agree.
And obviously the Lakers play good defense, and they played Rondo. I don't think as much as other teams would like to make Rondo shoot, I don't think they have the defense to do what the Lakers did to make Rondo shoot. Do you guys know what I'm trying to say?
I agree
Yeah.
with you. And now since Rondo has been on the big stage, and now since he's being recognized now, one thing he needs to do this offseason is he needs to improve on that 10 to 15-foot jump shot, and he really needs to add that to his
but
game.
he only has to improve that for essentially one series in his entire life, because every other team in the NBA cannot guard the Celtics to force Rondo into that situation. They don't have the ability to do that. The Lakers do because of the team they have. That's why he was so good against Cleveland.
But if Boston uses that same game plan versus every other team, then it won't be like they're just preparing for the Lakers. It'll make them a better team in general.
Boston
Exactly.
also has a mental toughness to their team that I think a lot of other teams lack. Like LeBron's team lacked that. LeBron's team didn't have that toughness. They just thought strictly talent was going to pull this off. But the Celtics wanted it more. That's why I was also hoping the Celtics would win, because their story was a lot better than this Lakers team. This Lakers team is not going down as one of the greatest championship Laker teams of all time. They're not.
That's clearly your opinion.
That's an opinion.
Clearly
I
your
would have to say that's an
opinion.
opinion right
Clearly.
there.
What makes them what makes this team go down as one of the greatest compared to like Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, compared to that? Yeah, it's Kobe. He won it by himself, but the way they play, they weren't there every game. It wasn't like they didn't want it as bad. Maybe
But
games,
apparently they did. They won 2 in a row. Now, how could you say they don't want it
Game
as bad?
7
You're
because
speaking from a clearly personal opinion.
I
I
agree.
disagree. I think if you look at the Lakers' body language throughout the whole series, they were just playing. They were not going out there showing that they really wanted this till the last game, where it's like, okay, we have to do this now. One game. That's why Ron Artest stepped up his game. He had a great game. Where was he the whole series? He wasn't there. Well, Lamar Odom, where was he the whole series? He wasn't even really in game. Where was Lamar Odom?
Because
in game
Boston did play better defense on them as opposed to when Phoenix were playing them. But here's the thing, Adam. That team really stepped up because Boston, as good of a team as they are, the Lakers stepped up and showed them and overpowered them in
Right.
the end. And
The
that's
Lakers
what's
stepped up
important.
in one very key important
But that was the
game.
key important
But
game. They won the
were not
championship.
there.
They won the championship.
That's great. They won the championship. But where were they the whole other series? They went saying, we're going to beat this team.
Where was
We're gonna
Boston
beat
Game
this
7
team."
then? Where was Boston at the end then?
I mean,
Where
you
was
said
Boston
that
at the end?
Boston's got a lot of focus.
Right, but
they scored
Boston-
67
they had an 11-point lead.
Boston did not have Kendrick Perkins.
They had an 11-point lead, though.
Doesn't matter. They don't have
What do you
Kendrick
mean it doesn't
Perkins.
matter? If you have an
'Cause this is
11-point
the
lead in Game
NBA.
7 in the finals, you're supposed to win that game.
This is the NBA. This
and
happens
one
all
This is the NBA,
time.
and that one injury shouldn't cause you
That
to score
injury-
68 points in one
that
game.
injury is the key to their
Then
defense. He's the center point
Then
of their
this team wasn't
defense.
good enough to win the championship.
They're-
One player affected you that much.
Right.
And
Okay.
excuse me, did the Lakers have their whole team? Yes. So if the Lakers didn't have their whole team,
Well, apparently
then
they
what?
didn't. You just said that. Odom wasn't there. Artest wasn't there.
No,
and without them,
but
they
were-
still managed to win a
But
championship.
they were there on the court. They were not injured. They had some, even if it was a weak impact, they impacted a little bit.
Boston-
But
But
Adam,
I'm saying
Adam,
the
we're not
Celtics are
talking
missing
about
someone.
Kevin Garnett going down for Game 7 or Ray Allen.
Right.
Or,
You're talking
we're
about their best
Cam-
defensive player going down.
This
in
is
Game
clearly
7. That's
coming
okay,
But
though.
here's the
from
thing,
a
though,
place-
Adam. Here's that you still have your best players on the court, though. Kendrick Perkins, yes, defensively is your best player in the post, but you still have other guys. Where was Garnett in the post? How come Garnett wasn't playing?
When you
that
have to
defense in the
have
post?
Rasheed
'Cause
Wallace,
Gasol shut him down.
when you have to have Rasheed Wallace start, okay, Rasheed Wallace, who this may have been his last game as a Celtic, start. You don't have Kendrick Perkins. You don't have that presence, and you're saying You're saying that he's not as good a player as Garnett or whatever. Or maybe defensively, his presence is a lot better than Garnett's presence on the defensive end, especially for this Celtics team. Garnett has a specific role. When him and Perkins are on the floor, Perkins clogs the paint. Perkins does that. They didn't have that person there to clog the paint this game.
But that's
The
where
fact
Garnett
that-
should have stepped up.
The fact
He
that
should
they
have
were
stepped up.
the fact that they were up 11, which is good. All teams start off well. The game goes on. You still have 3 other quarters. You have a guy named Kobe Bryant. You have all these other players. They did not have that presence they needed in the paint in Kendrick Perkins. Now, also, Kendrick Perkins was accepted to play in the USA team in the World's Tournament. He's a good player. He's not. People don't give him
And
enough
clearly
credit
the
for what he
Celtics
does.
aren't that great of a team.
Right.
That one injury makes them fall that far behind in pivotal
it's
game
a
6 and
key
7.
Injury.
Well,
and
right.
you've heard a lot of analysts
key
say
injury,
it's a
I do.
key injury.
Well, here's
It's
the
not
thing,
like you're-
Adam.
Adam.
I think you're thinking that we don't agree that it was a key injury. We do agree.
Right.
What the point I'm trying to make though is that they couldn't overcome a key injury, which obviously meant that the depth on this Boston Celtics team wasn't as good as we thought it was.
Well, even if the depth wasn't as good, when you're talking about Kendrick Perkins and what impact he has, who else on that? They don't have a go-to center. You know, Sheldon Williams coming in and not doing anything, that's not going to help you. He's, to me, one of the biggest busts in the league. But he's an option that they have to put out there because Rasheed Wallace can't play a whole game. We know that the Celtics are not the greatest team, but I felt they wanted it more. They deserved it more from what they fought through, and it was terrible
I
to
think
see
the Lakers wanted it
Kendrick.
more.
I think they wanted it more in Game 7. I don't think they wanted it
You
more.
don't-
as
but
they
you-
did.
you don't
Adam,
think
if
that
they
this is
wanted
a
it more
clearly-
in Game 7, they would have won. Because here's the thing, Adam. You're talking about Kendrick
I
Perkins.
disagree.
The reason why Boston lost that Game 7 wasn't because of Kendrick Perkins not being there, because they had the lead. It was
When
because
you
they
see-
couldn't get proper
when-
offense. They
when
couldn't
you-
get the proper offense from Ray Allen.
When-
Ray Allen single-handedly lost Game 7 for them. They had nothing to do with
I
Kendrick
agree.
Perkins.
Guess what, though?
Nothing to
If
do with
they
Kendrick
put-
Perkins.
But like
I
Doc
think
Rivers,
you're just making excuses.
I don't
for
think I'm
Boston
making
right now.
excuses. I don't think I am at all because I think Doc Rivers, like he said in the press conference, it's okay if they go on an offensive drought. It is okay if that happens.
Not in a Game 7.
Excuse me. It is okay if they go on an offensive drought. It is not okay if they go on a defensive drought while they go on the offensive drought because then the
Okay,
Lakers
well,
are still
clearly-
scoring. And
So Doc
without-
Rivers was okay with 68
it's-
points in Game 6. then.
without-
I guess so.
I guess so.
I guess so.
Without Kendrick Perkins, you don't have the right defense to stop the Lakers in that type of situation. And that's where I'm leaving it at. You don't have that presence there to stop a Lakers offensive drought.
But that's
off-
not the
I'm sorry,
reason
not
why they
offensive
lost.
drought, offensive
That's-
explosion.
It's not why they
When-
lost, though.
Well, I think it's a big part of why they
From-
lost. Considering the amount of points they lost by, I think it's a big
From
part
how
of why
you
they lost.
reacted,
And
now
you can disagree. You can have your opinion.
we were
but-
all together. I actually met up with these two guys later during Game 7, but we were actually all together watching the end of Game 7. You would think that the Knicks were playing in
I
this
agree.
game.
Adam was sweating watching this
From
game.
how Adam
He
was
was
watching this game.
sweating.
This is clearly coming from a hatred of the Lakers and
I don't-
Adam's
well,
hatred
wait,
of the
I-
Lakers.
But here's
Excuse
the
me,
thing, Adam.
I
You're
don't hate-
speaking more on emotion
Why?
right now.
No,
You're
no,
being
because
very
I don't
emotional
hate
right
the
now.
Lakers.
but
I just don't think they were the
But you're
team
saying
that deserved to
that
win the
the
finals.
Lakers-
But why? Why?
You're-
No, elaborate. Why don't you think they deserve to win the finals?
Because the whole series, it was every series they've had, they did not blow teams out. They didn't like prove anything. They went in saying, "All right, we're gonna just repeat. We're gonna do this." The attitude was there. You saw it in some of the press
And they
conferences.
did.
And they did. They won.
They did in Game 7. They did not. It was not guaranteed they were gonna win this. People are like, "Oh, the Lakers actually, if they don't like really step it up in Game 7, that like it shouldn't have to be
But
like
here's
that.
the
They
thing.
should have
If
been playing
they don't
tough.
step it up, they wouldn't win. So they won. That means they stepped it up,
stepped
right?
up.
It's Game
They came
7.
back
This
from
is
11
one
point
series.